Well, hi again, and here we go on another record player. This one's an RCA Victor, and I haven't even looked inside. I don't even know what's in here, so let's go. Let's find out. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh my, look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, this cord, it looks like it's never been unwound. At least not for a long time. Here's a little note. The note says, this would be information from the owner. Speed good. Change cycles not to off, so it will not switch itself off. There's no sound coming out of it. So there's probably a problem with the cartridge. Okay. Look at that. RCA Victor solid state and compatible cartridge. Now it's French on this side, so I know this was made in Montreal, I'm pretty sure. Look at that, the original instructions. Wow. Boy, you don't see these things very often. And this is looking like new. Like this has been closed up forever. Wow. And over here is a very interesting tag. GEM. GEM. I don't know what that is. GEM. For members only. Bad connection on-off manual switch. Hey, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Didn't we just do the record player that had a problem with the switch? Let me just turn that down. And $46.88. Why not $47? I don't know. And it says on it, not working. And my gosh, I swear that's my writing. But it's not my writing. But wow, somebody writes just like me there. Okay, so it looks like our problems are mechanical, of course, and this looks kind of bent out of shape, doesn't it? Funny angle. And it's a solid state machine. It's probably in good shape. Now for the exciting part, that's plugging it in and turning it on. See what happens. Power's on to it. Put it on manual. There we go. Nothing at all from the cartridge. No needle. Cartridge is pretty questionable, that's for sure. So ignoring that, let's make her go. Ooh. Shouldn't have touched it there. Should play again. I thought it should play again. Most of these do when the arm is left over. Let's put the arm down. That signals there's no record. It's a pretty loud click. There. Shut off there as it should have. Let's put it on manual. We'll trigger the... Doesn't come up quite high enough. Oh, played it again. Why would it do that? Turned off that time. So I don't know why it didn't do the same thing twice. Probably just a little bit of basic lubrication type maintenance underneath here, and we'll be in good shape. That's very good. Let's disassemble it. You can tell it's Canadian made. It's full of Robert's screws. A lot of these were made in Montreal, I believe. Let's see what it says. It says made in Canada, distributed by RCA Victor Company, Montreal. That's what I find anyway. A lot of these record players, this vintage record player, coming from Montreal. Now, another thing that doesn't look right to me, it doesn't look so bad in the camera. You can kind of see it at the back here, is that this thing is looks like it's bent over. Should be back this way a little bit. That's what I see. One more. Okay, that's those. And up she comes, easy as can be. Put a little more light on it here. Well, it certainly looks like a lot of dried up lubricant in there. So, that's about all I can do visually. I can't do much of anything, really. Gotta start moving these parts and see what's sticky. You know, the lubrication doesn't look that bad. Made in Great Britain, VSR changer. Now the idea is to watch the mechanism operate on it. That's the concept. Trick is to get my camera to not focus on the lens. Maybe if I clean it a bit here. Focus on the mirror rather, it's focusing on the surface of the mirror. Let's try that. There we are. Now it's focusing on the mechanism here. Okay, let's let her rip. I'm going to move this over and trigger the end of record. There it goes. Now, it didn't turn itself off. It tried playing it again. That's not right. It should turn itself off. Did it again. Ah, it's not turning itself off. This should not turn off in this setting. And of course it didn't. Now, okay, so I had this arm. Wow. That was wild. I just got a shock. I got a shock. That's the weirdest thing. Holding onto this camera and grabbing that plastic tone arm. How does that figure? What am I? Okay, so I get phantom shocks now and then, where I get a sensation and then I think it's a shock. So here I'm holding two plastic objects and I've convinced myself I got a shock. So how the heck does this work? I don't know. Let's just check a few things here. Okay, I'm reading. You can't see what I'm doing. Let me show you what I'm doing. Once I get untangled from all these wires. Okay, so I've got this lead on my meter going to AC power ground point. There's a little screw under here. If I touch that, 116. Touch those washers. 116. I mean, this is plastic, isn't it? Like, no, it can't be plastic. It must be metal. So, just following along the painted edge here. There we go. There it is. 112. So, now what about, I can't show you my camera on camera because it's the camera, but it looks like a plastic shelled thing. Now, how am I going to measure this? Let's just try this. See what we get. Oh, no, that's 10. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Can you see that? That's unbelievable. Okay, I wish I could show you this on camera. I'll have to use another camera. Yeah, this is the strangest thing. Okay, so I'm touching the outside of my computer camera with my voltmeter lead. It's just a black plastic shell, if you like. And of course, in the air or on the surface, look, it doesn't make any difference. It does make a little difference. You get 9.1 on the surface. You get 8.8 in the air at 7. But here's the interesting thing. There's some print on the side of the camera. It says Microsoft. And it's just print. I assume printed on the outside of the painted shell, which I think is plastic anyway. But I'll just drag the pointer, my meter lead, across the print and watch that meter. Here we go. I'm touching the print now. Look at that. And that's what my finger was on. My finger was on that print, on the word Microsoft, which appears to be just printed on the outside of the lens. So, you know, I'm usually very, very careful about putting myself in a shockable position. It never dawned on me holding the camera would be putting a ground in my hand. But obviously it is if I touch that print, and the print is right where your fingers will go if you pick that camera up. Man alive, the stuff you learn. Let's just see if you can actually, maybe I can actually get you to see the camera a bit in here. Yeah. Okay, so looking at the camera now, I'm just finding this quite weird to do. If you look down the barrel of the camera, down where my thumb is, you can see some print just above my thumb there. It says, there's no way to do this better. It says Microsoft. You'll have to trust me on that. Well, if I pull it back, maybe you can see more. There's the word just above my thumb, Microsoft. And that's the camera. That's the camera you're looking through right now. Who'd have believed that? I certainly would never have been suspicious of it in the first place and gone looking for it. That looks like a plastic shell for sure. So, okay, enough on the life-endangering situations in my shop here. One thing I will do is I'm just going to reverse this plug here. All this equipment has the risks, has this kind of risk in it, all this older stuff. And for those of us who are knowledgeable about what's going on, reasonably knowledgeable anyway, we can keep ourselves safe, or much, much safer than the average person who doesn't know anything about this kind of stuff. It's growing up in a world that's safer now than it was. I'm going to check that voltage again. So here we go to ground. And now we read nothing because I've turned the plug around. Yeah, the theory was there's nothing you can come into contact with on here that would bring you into contact with a supply voltage, but I don't think that's true at all. Clearly, you can touch metal parts back here, this metal arm, maybe that screw. If you pull off the volume control, there's a metal shaft coming up. There's these screws, which are probably just into wood, but do you know for sure? I don't know for sure. So, you know, I guess that's why they improve standards as time goes by. Now, what to do about this mechanism? Now, the excitement is over. And I'm sure other people doing these videos would never put on YouTube a film of them making a mistake and getting a shock, but my philosophy here is you're along for my ride. So if things don't go well, for me, you're going to see it. Okay, back to what we were doing. Now, this thing did work right once. I'm checking the situation with the bend, or the angle on this thing. So that time it turns off. I notice this comes to a stop pretty suddenly here. It doesn't spin down very well. Might indicate a little bit of lubrication problems. Not much though. Well, let's just try it again. I'll bring it back down where you can watch the mechanism do its thing, or not do its thing, whichever is the case. Now the on-off switch is way over here. That's the on-off switch down there. Well, you can see the lever that's supposed to push it there. There it is. Okay, now I just pushed it on to reject. I see, and that did exactly what it's supposed to do. The arm here is down, indicating no records to be dropped. So no records to be dropped, no records to be played. Let's try it again. There we go. And off. Son of a gun, I just got another shock off. I couldn't have. No. I couldn't have gotten a shock just now. I'm getting a phantom shock. Now I'm all spooked out here. Any little brush contact's going to make me think I'm getting a shock. Oh my lord. What the heck happened there? I got problems in my shop. I'm still seeing 122 volts, even though I reversed the plug. This sounds like something a little more serious here. Let me reverse it again. It's definitely been reversed. I'm not making a mistake there. What the heck is happening? Okay, so let's just get this straight. The unit is turned off. The unit off. Sometimes the high voltage is passed all the way through the entire machine and is sitting there up to the back side of the switch, if you can kind of picture that. So now, with the plug the way it is, 0 volts. If I turn it on, (122 volts). Now reverse the plug. I won't even turn it off. Reverse the plug. Plug is reversed. I think something's going to come clear to me doing that during this testing here. Plug is reversed. 0 volts with it on. Turn it off. Set it off. And now we see 122 volts. Boy, oh boy, this will get you coming and going, won't it? So, again, I've been working with this kind of stuff for my entire life, and it's never been fully clear in my mind what goes on with this kind of situation. And I know it has to do with the on-off switch switching on the ground side of the circuit instead of switching on the live side. But even as I'm sitting here, it's exactly what I just demonstrated. I cannot explain exactly why that would be. I suppose if I made a diagram at this point, it might become really quite clear. So this is a danger guy, no matter what you do with him. Okay, danger guy, I'll just keep that in mind while I continue on. We'll have to do something about that, though, on here. Now, back to the problem at hand. See if I can stay focused here even for 10 minutes. Switch is on. Try to play a record when there is no record. And it turns itself off. Fantastic. Now I'll nervously touch it. Now this time I've got the arm up in the repeat position, so it should not turn off. It should go ahead and play. I don't know what it did this time. It's I ended up sitting on its rest. Let's try that again. I think it's caught. I think it was caught. Let's put it here and try it. Yeah, I think it was caught on the rest. And that might be because of this funny angle, which is really very visible. Look at it. You can see the angle on it. I'll have to... You know, these things get bent because they pop up. They get jammed up inside the inside here, and maybe forced with the lid, or who knows. So I think that's a fairly easy thing to bend back up. You just literally get in there with a big plier and bend this piece right in here. Does not look bent. But it must be. I can't see anywhere else for that angle to develop in there. I'm holding my camera, by the way, by the rubber mount, which I'm pretty sure is fully insulated from the camera. So I'm not so panicky now. Hey, let's watch it operate again. Hey, why don't we actually try a record? Okay, that would be something. Let's try an actual record. I'm also sitting on my insulated chair with my feet up off the floor. I'm wearing rubber-soled shoes, and I'm aware of my knee brushing up against things down below here. I'll just hold that for now. There we go. Let's give it a go. I think I got caught again. This time it should shut off. Instead it tries to play. Tries to play again. So I'm going to lift it up a little higher when it comes by. Huh, that's interesting. Okay, so it looks like the slight tilt is causing it to run into this the parking stand. On the way back, it seems to run into it like that, and that seems to leave the machine confused and deciding to play the record again. And on the way off, it catches it like this, and it won't come over far enough. So I really do need to bend this thing. This may be more of a problem than I might realize. Okay, and the bending of that. Well, could grab the tone arm and use it as the bender. Just heave it over this way. Risk there, of course, is breaking the plastic parts down here, so that would be stupid. Looks like I could work a screwdriver into here and actually use it as a prying approach. It's going to put a lot of strain on this pin here. But that's one way. That gives me the right leverage point. I could be out quite a ways out here on it, levering it. So this is a pretty heavy piece of metal. That's why I'm sitting here pondering how to bend it. And the last possibility is kind of the obvious one. Put a plier in here. Try to get a grip on this main piece of metal here. Let me bring this over because you can't see at all what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, I'll put you on the electric arm here. You guys get a shock through the camera. There we are. Ah! Yeah, it's a precarious, my camera angle. So this is the piece of metal I'm talking about here. Okay. And I'm saying that this piece is fairly substantial. It's not easy. Not going to be easy to bend that. Don't want to remove it and bend it. That might introduce more problems. And I was saying I could even just grab this tone arm and just use it to heave-ho over. And the risk there is breaking the tone arm. It's pretty substantial here. Yeah, it looks pretty strong. I might even get away with that, but I'm not going to try it. Because if it should break, that's kind of the end of it. The other one was putting in a screwdriver. Let's just take a closer look at that. Yeah, come on. Stay on board for this. So I was thinking of putting a screwdriver in about like this. You know, and then heaving it upwards. And the last one is I need a pretty strong plier to do this. You come in like this. But there's stuff in the way down there. Something like that. How come my camera won't focus? It looks like the focal point in this camera is just a tiny little spot dead center of its field of view. And if I'm a little off, so I could grab this and kind of honker away on it. Grab it back here, actually. This is probably the safest. This is probably the safest bet, but it's also one of the worst for torquing, because I think the bend is all through here. And I really want to bend it back from there, if you follow what I'm saying. See, another possibility here is to take a larger screwdriver, tuck them up in here, and then twist this way on it. You know what, a really large screwdriver, that might be the best approach. Let's just look at what a large one would do. You know what, that might just be the best way to go here. Okay, and I'm also going to apply a little bit of pressure with the tone arm, why not? I'm going to try to bend this thing. Here we go. Wow! Did I bend it? Let's take a look. Well, that certainly is a lot better, isn't it? I mean, that's. Can you get it much closer? Bend it just a wee bit more. Okay, a little bit more. If anything, it's leaning the other way. Looks good. Real good. Okay. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that tool selection process there, and pretty happy with the result. Let's see if it really helps. So we'll put this guy back here. Lift them up. Diagnoses. You cannot cure the patient with the wrong diagnoses. Oh, he's on his way. Okay, let's let's take him over to the end. There he goes. Look at that. Shuts right off. I think that was the problem. I think the problem was that this thing was on an angle, and that's why it would work sometimes and not others. So I think we did it. I think it's done. We're done. It's done. But let's not stop here. Let's look at the. You know, this guy's in the shop now. Let's take a look at his condition. Ooh, lots of grease and oil. He's been oiled up, and that just unfortunately shot oil onto this pristine turntable here. Okay, that's good. Get rid of that. There's quite a bit of oil down there, so I think somebody's just shot some oil into it. Oh, that just comes off. It just glides off. Okay. And all the fun I had with these things before. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to be smart and unplug this thing completely from the power supply. That'll reduce the shock hazard. Now, what's this glue? This glue, yeah. Oh, that's not very good. That's pretty tacky stuff. So here we go. Hopefully this is not a journey of misery like some of the others have been. See, these guys are loose. These are nice. Will it come off? Oh, it's just coming off beautifully. Okay, so you see this guy, he's not feeling well, but he's not so sick. He's not a hospital patient yet. This is not turning. That's frozen already. So we're kind of catching this guy just in time. 2-3 years from now, he's going to be disappointing. It won't be now because we're going to fix him up. Fix him up. And new life in here. This is just alcohol. Oh yeah, it wasn't far from getting all gummed up here. I'm sure when they were putting the lubrication into these things originally, they weren't thinking of them lasting 40, 50, 60 years. I'm sure that wasn't on their minds. And they even have anything that would last that long? I don't know. The grease, it that the alcohol doesn't clean off, it will loosen up anyway. I sort of revitalize it, although you can't imagine alcohol lasting too long before it all evaporates again. Yucca. Let me dig in there with something. This shaft has grooves in it, I imagine. There we go. To hold some grease. Excuse me for a second. Okay. Small interruption while I took a promotional phone call trying to sell me something. I'm using this lousy paper to do that. Shame on me. This paper leaves fibers all over the place. That's not very good. Okay, I'm gonna get this guy turning here. Ah, it's frozen solid. There he goes. Wow, that's a really, that's a pretty bunged up one there. Put a stronger solvent on it. Yeah, solvent on it and near it. Really stuck. There it goes. Yeah, that loosened right up pretty good. Not so easy to, you know, parts like this really should be separated and cleaned like I did with this, but you can't separate this. You can't get that off, the roller off. It's kind of permanently in there, so we really need to flush it a lot. And get the solvent to really go through it. Now that's a pretty important part, to get that turning freely, because its job is to run around inside this raceway, and it's bumping up against the two edges. The way it is now, it was skidding through a poorly lubricated raceway, and you can imagine how different it is when it rolls through a nicely lubricated raceway. That's a big difference. Even though this guy was working pretty good, it wasn't going to work for long. Put a little drop of oil on top of it. Bunk. And top of it and all over it. Just mop up the excess here. Okay. Now we gotta put the grease into the raceway. And I put in a fairly heavy grease. I just did 2 record players quite recently. If you watch those videos, you're seeing me do basically the same basic steps. This is a pretty heavy lubricant. This is wheel bearing grease basically for automobiles. So it's pretty heavy. And I want it in the raceway, not up on the edges. Oh, there we are. Gooped up nicely. We'll throw a little on the center shaft here. If you think about the leverage of these various mechanical points, some of them the leverage power is extremely high, like this one. You know, you have this whole size and the gears are on the outside, and it's driven by another powerful gearing arrangement with the idler wheel motor and all that, and the platter. So there's a lot of power pushing this thing. So lubrication problems here probably won't cause much effect. Now, another part that's really important is this part here. This part's got to be free to move, just kind of floppy like that. Doesn't necessarily require lubrication. In fact, lubrication might be a bad thing to do there. Bad, don't do that. Put them back on. Try to get the, yeah, there we go, the wheelie thing's right in there. Wait a minute, this isn't set down properly. Maybe it's not right in there. There we go, now it's right in there. Lovely. The raceway is shaped, of course, to control the speed and position of the towing arm. There's other mechanics that are lifting it and setting it down in relationship to this. It's a complicated little machine. There is a point, though, in the raceway where the amount of work or pressure required to push it through that point is maximum. Somewhere near is a maximum. Feels to me like it's right here, in fact. And that's the point where if your turntable is not strong, I gotta take this off again. If your turntable is not strong, it's got too much slippage in the drive or whatever the other problems might be, that's where it's going to come to a halt. You just won't be able to turn past the maximum point of resistance. A lot of turntables end up working fine, except they just can't make it past that point of maximum resistance. Now, let's take this apart and take a look at what's going on here. You know, we don't need to take that out. Lots of lubrication. A little bit of gunky stuff here. Don't like the gunky stuff. So I think we'll freshen up the lubrication with a little dab of oil. Again, because of the leverage involved, Platter has an easy time turning past that. So I think I'll do this with a touch of alcohol. And a drop of oil. Sometimes I repack those bearings, but these look pretty clean. So I don't think I'll do that. I'm just going to oil it. Can't even see what I'm doing. I'm sorry about that. So I've been oiling up these bearings here. Just a little bit of oil, a little bit of solvent, kind of get the grease moving in there a little bit. That's really not in bad shape. The bad one would be full of hair and other egregious things. This slid on and off real nice on here, so let's put them on. Oh, let's not put them on. Let's put this on first. There we go. Okay, now we'll turn our attention to the roller here. Good strong spring. I think this is the kind of player that, yeah, when it's off, this is pushed away from the spindle, which is a great thing. Now, how much? The motor's not very good. Yeah, we're going to drop some oil down the top bearing. I think we're going to have to do the bottom bearing on it. Yeah. Oh, that seemed to loosen it up pretty good. Seems a little better. Should probably do the bottom though. we'll leave the platter off for now, just in case we want to access this area again. Flip it over. Easier said than done. The motor, and this is a lower bearing. We're going to disassemble. Taking a bit of a gamble that when I loosen these off, the nuts won't turn underneath. And to loosen that little guy off, not much of a gamble actually, because the I can see lock washers under there. This is pretty recommended for most older record players. It's really worth taking a run at this. Especially if you spin the shaft of the motor and it doesn't spin down over a period of time, it comes to a rather quick stop, then there's a chance this bearing is not as good as it could be. A lot of rust in there, I'm surprised. Get those out of there. So there's the bearing. Small. Well, it moves. See, it's a self-adjusting bearing. It'll line itself up very precisely with the motor. There's no lubrication left in it at all. It's actually spinning on that round point there. So we'll throw in a little lubrication. I'm using a fairly heavy grease that may not be the best choice. I'm going to throw in a little dab of oil. Okay, you want the oil to get on the outside of that bushing too, so it lubricates the bushing in there, inside the bracket. Get rid of the excess. And just return it. It's a fairly precise bearing. The gap here, or the tolerance of the rotor, and especially in this one, is pretty small. And then looking at the space between the outside of the rotor and the rest of the motor frame, it's pretty tiny. Put on the lock washers. nuts. Tighten it down a little bit, not too snug yet. Check the motor, see if it turns nice. Yep. So when I turn it by hand, I'm trying to feel any abrasion with the motor frame, indicate the alignment's way off. Generally, you can't put these back together too wrong. These pieces are designed to go into the right spot with some precision, so you don't have to sweat too much about that. Now, with our floppy tone arm, let's take our mirror out before I end up forgetting about it. Now these wires all tangled up here. There we go. And that's pretty much all you can do to something like this. Okay, let's put it entirely back together. Just taking a long look there to make sure I haven't forgotten something. My oily fingers all over it. There we are. I think it can be tested at this point. Plug it back in. Nobody touch anything. Power on. Put that back there. It's in repeat mode. Motor goes. Eject. Over it goes. It's trying to play a 10-inch record. Send it back. There it goes. Please turn off. No, it's repeat. It's on repeat. Don't turn off. Repeat. Fantastic. This time we should shut off. There we go. You can do it. Hey, look at that. Still not impressed with the spinning mechanics here, but I think it's pretty good. So we'll put this lock back on here. This is where it goes flying, so let's not do it like that. This is the best way I've found for doing these, very precisely. Make sure everything is, yeah, precise, right. Hey, don't drop those. Another demonstration of precision. Normally I don't make a big deal out of putting these on, I just put them on. This time I'm talking about it, it's not going well. Murphy is here. There we go. Could have lost that. tape on here. It's too bad. Bad connection, on-off manual switch. Not a bad connection. Not that I found. Isn't that just lovely? I think it is. So what about the hum factor in here? I didn't really pay attention to that. Let's have a listen. No hum factor at all. And we can't play a record, there's no cartridge, and I certainly don't have one here to match this particular player. So, no electronic repair required. Come on, put that a little tight, didn't I? Those too tight. Okay, and there it is, the finished unit. Let's just hey, come on, don't be jumping around like that. As a viewer, you get too excited and jump. I know that. Okay. So, the problem with this player was the slightly off-kilter tone arm, which lowered the one side slightly and caused it to be interfered with by the stand. In one case, it wouldn't pull off and make it to the record. In the other case, when it came back, it did not go back quite far enough, and somehow this fooled the mechanism into deciding to play again. I'm not sure how that would happen, but I don't really fully understand these mechanical machines anyway, really. I think only the people who design them would really understand it, or maybe if you worked on these, by the hundreds, you would get to understand quite clearly how they all work. I've done probably 15 of these guys and various styles, and I'm just amazed. So, voila. So that was, what was that actually? That's an RCA model VA-67. And thanks a lot for watching. On to the next thing.